This is the regular council meeting of Tuesday, May 24th, 2022. I'm calling the meeting to order. Just a reminder that the webinar is recorded and can be viewed on the city's YouTube site. So our first items are adoption of minutes. We have the Governance and Operations Committee meeting, the Governance and Operations Committee meeting of May 9th, 2022, the regular council meeting of May 9th, 2022, and the special council meeting of May 11th, 2022. The recommendation is that all three sets of these minutes be adopted as circulated. Do I have someone to make that motion? Councillor Santori, do I have someone to second that? Councillor Butler. And is there any errors or omissions that are seen in these minutes? Seeing none. Okay, all in favor? Against, if any? Carried unanimously. Public question period. So Ms. Lucchini, just checking to make sure that no one has entered council chambers.
No members of the public are here this evening.
Okay, I don't see anyone on the Zoom call. And Ms. McIsaac, do we have any written correspondence that's come in?
No, we do not.
Okay, thank you very much. Item number 3 is communications. This is 8333 Old Juanita Road, application for development variance permit. Ms. McIsaac, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. The city is in receipt of an application for a development variance permit from Pat Murray, the property owner of 8333 Old Juanita Road. He is looking for a variance to the rear yard setback to allow the construction of a new single-family dwelling on the property as part of a subdivision that he completed some years back. The development on the property is quite constrained by the terrain and the irregular shape of the lot. And when planning for the placement of the single-family dwelling on the lot, Mr. Murray determined that a reduction in the rear yard setback would be beneficial in order to appropriately place the home on the lot. He is requesting that the required rear yard be reduced from 6 meters to 2.15 meters, which is a variance of 3.85 meters. Again, noting that the terrain of the property is making it quite difficult to reasonably construct the property in compliance with that rear yard setback. From a planning perspective, there is requirements for the city to provide notice out to all property owners within 50 meters of the subject property, inviting any comments or concerns to be presented through to council. So different from a public hearing that was just held, but again, allowing public input. Notice letters were sent out to the neighbors, and the city has had no representations being made in writing with respect to the application. We understand, though, that there was some inquiries of a nearby resident made, just ensuring that it was the rear yard property line being varied rather than the front yard requirement being varied. So with that, it is being recommended that council consider any input that has been received, which has been none, and then authorize the issuance of a development variance permit to Pat Murray to vary section 66D of the zoning bylaw, reducing the required rear yard from 6 meters to 2.15 meters.
Okay, the recommendation is before us. Do I have someone to make that recommendation?
So move.
Councillor Gattafoni Robinson and Councillor Jones. And is there any comments or questions on this matter? Councillor Dopey, go ahead.
Okay, the only thing I have a concern with and want to question, and Ms. McIsaac can probably answer this. I would think that in normal lots, when a lot backs onto a lot, this might be easier to work with, but this lot backs onto the river. So at the end of the 2.5 meters, it just drops down to the river. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So is there any concerns with the bylaw that this is sort of not a normal situation with sloughing of the bank or anything like that? If this could start to affect the other owners when the house is moving that far back to the the water line, so to speak, or to the river?
The construction on all 8 lots of this subdivision does require geotechnical assessments to be prepared, and
Okay.
any construction on the lots must be in compliance. So where there would be a rear property line shared by 2 owners, that's where we may hear concerns from a neighboring property about impacts with a reduction in rear yard setback. In this case, there's no other owner who would potentially be affected to the rear. And you can rest assured that construction is being done in accordance with any geotechnical considerations in place.
So is that done after he receives council approval or before?
The geotechnical took place as part of the subdivision construction. And if the building department determines it necessary, subsequent reporting could be requested as part of building permitting process.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And any other questions on this matter? Seeing none. All right, all in favor? Against, if any? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 3.2 is Trail Memorial Center HVAC Unit Contract Award. Ms. McIsaac?
Thank you, Your Worship. Because we didn't hold a Governance and Operations Committee meeting earlier today, we do have a couple of items of business from the Governance and Operations scheduled. And so the contract award for the Trail Memorial Center HVAC unit is one of those. We are seeking council's approval to order the HVAC unit that will serve the refrigeration plant room at the Trail Memorial Center. Earlier in the year, council had approved a $100,000 capital fund for replacement of the HVAC unit that serves the refrigeration plant at the Trail Memorial Center. And the city's engineering consultant had from there developed the specifications for the HVAC system and requested quotes from various manufacturers. The city is in receipt of 4 quotes and is now in a position to order the HVAC unit. The reporting from the Deputy Director of Parks and Recreation indicates that the unit will be ordered directly from the manufacturer. And then from there, the city will seek quotes from contractors to perform the installation. And the key factors when considering the best overall value to the city for the project and this unit itself are cost and lead time, so that the unit can be operational as soon as possible. When considering the 4 quotations that were received, the engineered air proposal in the amount of $36,000 with a lead time of 18 to 20 weeks is considered to be the best option for the city, and it's therefore being recommended that council award the contract for supply of the HVAC unit serving the refrigeration plant room at the Trail Memorial Center to Engineered Air in the amount of $36,000 plus all applicable taxes, fees, and charges.
Okay, the recommendation is before you. Do I have someone to make that motion? Councillor Santori, do I have someone to second that? Councillor Dobie, thank you. Do I have any questions on this matter? Seeing none, all in favor? Against, if any? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item number 4, grant and aid sponsorships. So 4.1 is the report on grants to organizations and individuals, and the recommendation is that the report be received. Do I have someone to make that motion?
So move.
Councillor Gattafoni Robinson, thank you. And Councillor Dobie, did I see your hand up?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Any questions on this report? Seeing none, all in favor? Against, if any? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Trail and District Art Council request for cash contribution. They are requesting $630 for blocks for it's an in-kind to deliver small cement blocks for anchors to Haley Park for the Silver Screen Movie Theater. Does anyone have, what are your wishes for this grant? Counselor Santori, you're on mute, but you saw your hand up, so it's okay.
Yeah, I would move the grant proceed.
Okay. Thank you. Is there someone to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, Counselor Jones, thank you.
Can I ask a question, please?
Go ahead.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Are they going to stay there permanently now or what? Or are they going to be removed?
I don't believe they're there permanently. I think they're just there for the duration of need for the film to secure the screen.
Okay, thank you.
You're
That would be
welcome.
my understanding as well.
Okay, Counselor Dobie, go ahead.
Okay, I'm just not sure if I'm understanding. Is this part of purchase for these blocks or are they just renting them? Because will we have this cost again next year or will they own the blocks and they'll just be the installation?
I believe we own the blocks and we are delivering the blocks and then picking the blocks up and bringing them back after
Okay,
after it's needed.
So these are blocks the city already owns.
Right. Ms.
Okay.
McIsaac, do you want to confirm that?
No, that's okay. I misunderstood that. Thank you.
That's my understanding. And this year's event is taking place at Haley Park on 2 evenings, May 27th and July 16th. So a bit of a different format than we saw last year during COVID, where things were quite shut down and they were doing more recent screenings back behind the Juanita Plaza. But they are still hoping to proceed with the silver screen movies in Haley Park for 2 evenings this summer.
Okay. Thank you.
So just to clarify, they're looking for an in-kind contribution of blocks, delivery, and pickup for both events from the City of Trail.
Okay.
Okay. We've had Counselor Santori move it, Counselor Jones second. Any other questions on this matter? Seeing none, all in favor? Against, if any? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item is the Rossland Society for Environmental Action. This is a cash grant for $580 for repair of a stream sign by the Trail Bocce Pits that was, which was damaged, and there has been some in-kind work done for the metal structure that holds the sign. So they're looking for a cash contribution to help replace the sign. Is there someone to make this motion? Counselor Jones?
Yeah.
Thank you. And Counselor Butler, second. Perfect. Any questions on this? Nope. Okay, all in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, now we're on to bylaws. Zoning bylaw amendment bylaw 2920-2022, third reading. This is the bylaw that we just heard about and at the public hearing. Ms. McIsaac, do you want to give a briefing on this for those who would not have watched the public hearing?
I will, thank you. And we don't record the public hearings and make them visible. So just in way of introduction, a public hearing was held earlier this evening with respect to zoning bylaw amendment bylaw number 2920. This is a bylaw that will, if adopted, rezone the property at 1618 Knight Street from single family residential R1 to single family residential R1S to allow a secondary suite to be constructed on the property. At the public hearing, council did receive quick questions from a nearby property owner, mostly particular to the septic handling with the addition of a secondary suite on the property. That is not a land use consideration that council would take into account, but really you do want to focus your attention to whether you feel that the change from R1 to R1S for a secondary suite would have a material impact on the neighboring properties. And we did hear from the applicant that there is adequate off-street parking available. In accordance with the building plans, it is a very small footprint for a secondary suite, and the applicant has indicated that she doesn't foresee any more than one or perhaps two occupants of that suite at any time in the future. So with that, it would be staff's recommendation that you proceed with third reading of the bylaw. It is in keeping with the residential neighborhood and the residential character of the neighborhood, but it would be to council to determine. This bylaw will require the approval of the Ministry of Transportation. So at tonight's meeting, it's only eligible for third reading. We then need to wait on the Ministry of Transportation's approval before considering adoption.
All right. Is there someone who would like to move this bylaw for third reading? Councillor Doby, thank you. Is there someone who'd like to second this bylaw for third reading? Councillor Gattafoni Robinson, thank you. Any questions on this matter? No. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. The next item, item number 6.1 on the consent agenda is letter of appreciation from the GBS CIDP Foundation of Canada. The recommendation from staff is that the item on the consent agenda be received for information. Is there someone who'd like to make that motion? Councillor Butler, is there someone who'd like to second that motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. All in favor? Against, if any? Carried. And I'm assuming there's nothing on this that needs to be pulled out, so we can proceed. Okay. Next, we have department reports. This is item number 7. Item 7.1 is the RDKB Building Department report of February 2022. 7.2 is the RDKB Building Department report of March 2022, and 7.3 is the RDKB Building Department report of April 2022. And the recommendation is that these reports be received for information. Do I have someone to make that
So
motion?
moved. So
Councillor
moved.
Gattafoni Robinson, thank you. Do I have someone to second it? Councillor Butler, thank you. Are there any questions on these reports? Councillor Doby, did you have your hand up? I'm not sure if I saw that. Go ahead.
Yes, it's not on these reports. And since we don't have new business on the agenda, this is old business. I wondered if we'd heard anything from BC Housing yet on our letter that we sent about 6 weeks ago.
Ms. McIsaac, do you want to take that? Because this is actually a closed item.
Yeah, so being that we are in a regular council meeting, it would be inappropriate for us to discuss any of our discussions with BC Housing in this venue.
Okay, so I guess I wasn't asking for any of the information on the discussion. I just basically wanted to know whether or not we had received an update from them yet.
Councillor Doby,
As of today, we've received an update. So at the next closed council meeting, it will be scheduled for your information purposes.
Okay, so can we expect a closed council meeting 2 weeks from now at the next closed council, at the next council session?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
okay, move for adjournment, 6:34 p.m. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you.